Commissioner Gordon, Bane has escaped.
The mind is where every war is won or lost. Before the sword is drawn, before the arrow is released, before the first blow is struck, the outcome is already decided by the will of the mind. Those who train their minds like warriors understand that every thought is a weapon, every emotion a potential adversary, every impulse a test of control. They do not wait for adversity to strike before preparing. They train in the shadows, in the quiet, in the moments when nobody is watching. They build mental fortitude like armor, sharpening their resolve until it can cut through doubt and fear with a single thought. To train your mind like a warrior is not to live without fear, but to walk forward despite it, to look uncertainty in the eye and move forward regardless. The battlefield of life is not always marked by bloodshed and violence. More often it is the quiet battles, the ones fought within, that determine the true victors. Every morning, every decision, every challenge is a skirmish. Those who live passively surrender without a fight, allowing the world to dictate their fate. But a warrior's mind does not retreat. It advances. It wakes up with purpose. It moves with intention. It refuses to negotiate with the voices that whisper of surrender. The warrior understands that the greatest battles are not fought against external enemies, but against the internal forces of doubt, laziness, and temptation. Training the mind is not a part-time job. It is a lifelong campaign, a continuous sharpening of the blade that is your resolve. A warrior's mind is built through repetition, not the mindless kind, but the deliberate, intentional practice of discipline. It is in the early mornings when the bed feels like a sanctuary and the world outside is cold and unwelcoming. It is in the gym, pushing one more rep when the muscles scream for rest. It is in the quiet of the night, studying when the eyes burn with exhaustion. Every time you push through, you are not just building muscle or gaining knowledge. You are reinforcing the belief that you control your mind, not the other way around. The warrior knows that discipline in small things creates discipline in all things. And so they train, not because it is easy, but because it is necessary. They do not wait for motivation. They create it. The mind of a warrior does not flinch under pressure. When the world collapses, when chaos reigns, when everything falls apart, they remain centered. This composure is not accidental. It is the result of countless hours spent conditioning the mind to remain calm in the storm. Warriors rehearse adversity. They visualize failure. They imagine setbacks. They prepare for pain. They do not dwell on worst-case scenarios out of fear, but out of readiness. They understand that when the mind has already faced defeat in practice, it can handle it in reality. They do not avoid discomfort. They immerse themselves in it until it no longer holds power over them. This is not just mental toughness. It is mental mastery. The ability to dictate how you respond to whatever life throws your way. Training the mind like a warrior means embracing solitude. It means stepping away from the noise, from the distractions, from the comfort of the crowd. Warriors train alone not because they dislike company, but because they understand that growth is a solitary process. The mind cannot strengthen when it is constantly fed by external voices. It needs silence to confront its own weaknesses, to wrestle with its own demons. Those who fear solitude will never reach the heights of their potential because they will always need someone else to push them. A warrior learns to push themselves. They sit with their thoughts, they analyze their actions, they question their motives. And through this process, they build an inner dialogue that does not rely on the world for validation. A warrior's mind is strategic. It does not move without purpose. While others react to life, the warrior anticipates. They see the battlefield before the battle begins. They set goals, they develop plans, they prepare for contingencies. This foresight is not a gift. It is a skill honed through reflection and analysis. Warriors review their victories as well as their defeats. They study the patterns of their own behavior, identifying what leads to success and what causes failure. This constant self-assessment is not an exercise in self-criticism, but in self-improvement. The warrior does not seek perfection. They seek progress. They understand that every day is a chance to refine their approach, to sharpen their strategy, to prepare for the battles yet to come. To train your mind like a warrior is to understand the power of resilience. Warriors do not avoid pain, they endure it. They recognize that pain is not the enemy but the teacher. It reveals the limits of the body and the boundaries of the mind. Those who run from discomfort never learn this lesson. They remain fragile, untested, unproven. But the warrior embraces the burn, the struggle, the grind. They know that the more they endure, the more they expand their capacity for endurance. They do not break under pressure. They adapt. Every hardship they face is another layer of armor, another notch in the blade of their willpower. They do not fear breaking, they fear never being tested at all. A warrior's mind understands the value of rest, but not as an escape, as a strategy. They do not rest to avoid effort, they rest to prepare for it. They know that recovery is as important as exertion, that the mind needs time to recharge, to rebuild, to regain clarity. This rest is not laziness, it is preparation. Warriors do not overindulge in rest, nor do they glorify burnout. They walk the fine line between pushing limits and respecting them. They understand that balance is not a passive state, but an active choice. They rest with intention, knowing that when the time comes to fight, they will be ready. Training the mind like a warrior is not about becoming invincible. It is about becoming adaptable. Warriors do not expect life to go according to plan. They prepare for when it does not. They cultivate a mindset that thrives in uncertainty, that finds opportunity in chaos, that remains hopeful in the face of despair. They are not bound by the need for control. They are liberated by their ability to respond to the uncontrollable. They build a mind that bends but does not break, that shifts but does not shatter. And in doing so, they gain an advantage over those who crumble under the weight of life's unpredictability. Before a warrior steps onto the battlefield, they don their armor, sharpen their weapons, and steady their resolve. They do not wait until the first strike to prepare. They anticipate, they strategize, they fortify. In the same way, you must prepare your mind for the inevitable battles of life. The world is not gentle. It will test your resolve, challenge your beliefs, and push you to the edge of surrender. To survive, you need more than optimism. You need psychological armor. This armor is not built from metal or leather, but from discipline, self-awareness, and unshakable purpose. It is the invisible shield that protects you from fear, the mental chainmail that deflects doubt, the inner helmet that muffles the noise of external influence. Every thought, every habit, every boundary you set is a piece of this armor, and the time to build it is before the battle begins. Fear is the enemy's first strike. It slips into your mind like a blade between the ribs, sharp and paralyzing. Those who are unprepared are left bleeding, immobilized by what might go wrong, by the shadows of the unknown. But a mind trained like a warrior's does not falter. It recognizes fear, not as a force to flee from, but as a signal to engage. Warriors do not fight without fear. They fight with it, using its energy to sharpen their senses, to fuel their focus. They understand that fear is not an opponent to be defeated, but a sparring partner that keeps them agile, aware, and prepared. They do not wait for fear to pass, they push through it, knowing that courage is not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it. Doubt is the siege that wears down the walls of the mind. It does not attack head-on, but creeps in slowly, eroding confidence with whispers of insufficiency. Those who lack mental armor are vulnerable, swayed by every failure, weakened by every setback. They allow doubt to dictate their choices, to steer them away from risk, to confine them within the safety of mediocrity. But a warrior's mind is fortified against such influence. It does not accept doubt as truth. It challenges it, interrogates it, demands evidence before allowing it to settle. Warriors replace doubt with discipline, with the unshakable belief that their preparation, their training, their resilience will carry them through. They do not allow a single thought to undermine their mission. They crush it with the weight of their own conviction. External influence is the ambush, the hidden threat that strikes when you are least prepared. The world is filled with voices, some loud, some subtle, all aiming to shape your mind, to sway your actions, to pull you away from your path. Those without mental armor are easily led astray. They shift their direction with every trend, adjust their identity with every opinion, dilute their purpose with every outside expectation. But a warrior's mind is impervious to such attacks. It moves through the noise with clarity, filtering every message through the lens of its own truth. Warriors do not seek approval. They carry their own. They do not bend to fit the world's mold. They shape their own. They walk their path with a focused gaze, seeing distractions as what they are. Tests of resolve. Building psychological armor is not an overnight process. It is a craft, a daily ritual of reinforcement. A warrior does not carry unnecessary weight into battle. They travel light, leaving behind what does not serve their mission. In the same way, you must strip your mind of burdens that hinder your progress. Release old grudges, shed outdated beliefs, cut ties with habits that drain your energy. Every unnecessary attachment is a chink in your armor, a vulnerability that can be exploited. The lighter your mind, the quicker you move, the more agile you become in the face of adversity. This mental minimalism is not about detachment. It is about focus. It is about choosing what deserves your attention and discarding the rest. Those who carry the weight of everything they have ever experienced are dragged down by it. Warriors know that survival depends on traveling light, on keeping only what is essential, on moving forward without looking back. The battlefield is unpredictable. No plan survives first contact with the enemy, and no strategy is immune to change. Those who rely on rigidity break under pressure, but a warrior's mind is flexible. It adapts, it pivots, it finds new angles when the old ones fail. This adaptability is not a lack of commitment, it's a mastery of circumstance. Warriors do not hold on to a failing strategy out of pride. They change, they innovate, they evolve. In the same way, you must train your mind to adjust to the ever-changing landscape of life. Do not fear change. Anticipate it. Do not resist new information. Analyze it. Do not cling to what no longer works. Replace it. The more adaptable your mind, the more resilient your armor, the more prepared you become for whatever lies ahead. Mental warfare is a game of endurance. Many can fight for a day, a week, even a month, but few can maintain their resolve through years of struggle. The warrior's mind is not just prepared for battle, it is prepared for a prolonged campaign. It knows that life's greatest victories are not won in a single strike, but through sustained effort, through the unrelenting application of willpower. When others burn out, when they lose sight of their goals, when they falter under the weight of their own expectations, the warrior presses on. They have trained their mind to find strength in persistence, to draw energy from consistency, to thrive in the grind. Their armor does not shine. It is worn, scarred, a testament to the battles they have endured. A reminder that the true measure of resilience is not how you perform when you are fresh, but how you endure when you are exhausted. The final test of a warrior's mind is how it faces defeat. Everyone can hold their ground when victory is certain, but true mental strength is revealed in loss. Those without armor crumble, letting failure define them, allowing it to seep into their identity. But the warrior treats defeat as feedback. They do not internalize it, they analyze it. They do not surrender to it, they strategize against it. Every loss is a lesson, every setback a stepping stone, every wound a reminder of what they need to strengthen. The warrior rises from defeat, not as a shadow of their former self, but as a refined version of who they were. They do not seek comfort, they seek growth. They do not dwell on what they lost. They focus on what they gained. Elite soldiers do not walk into battle blind. Before they ever step onto the field, they have already fought 1,000 battles in their minds. They visualize every scenario, the ambushes, the surprises, the chaos. They mentally rehearse how they will respond when the plan falls apart, when the enemy strikes from the shadows, when the mission takes an unexpected turn. This mental rehearsal is not just preparation, it is a strategy. By exposing their minds to stress in a controlled environment, they reduce the shock when real adversity arrives. Their minds become conditioned to remain calm, to analyze rather than react, to find clarity where others find only confusion. The warrior knows that when the mind is prepared, the body will follow. That in the storm of battle, the decisions they have already practiced will emerge instinctively, guiding them through the chaos with precision. This technique is not limited to soldiers on the battlefield. It is a weapon available to anyone willing to wield it. Before facing a challenging situation, you can train your mind with the same discipline. Visualize the obstacles, imagine the setbacks, rehearse your response to failure. See yourself in the heat of the moment, feeling the pressure, hearing the doubt, and watch as you move through it with purpose. The mind cannot differentiate between real and imagined experiences. The neural pathways created by visualization are real. Each mental rehearsal strengthens your capacity to act under pressure, transforming anxiety into confidence, fear into focus. Those who train this way are not surprised when hardship arrives. They greet it like an old adversary, prepared, composed, ready. Before the body can achieve, the mind must believe. The world does not shape itself around you. You shape yourself around your expectations of what you can become. Every great achievement, every monumental victory, every story of triumph begins not with action, but with a quiet, unshakable expectation of greatness. Those who rise above do not do so by accident. They do so because long before the world recognized their potential, they had already recognized it within themselves. They set a standard in their minds, a level of excellence they refuse to fall beneath. This expectation becomes the foundation upon which they build, the compass that directs their every step, the fire that fuels their every effort. Before you can do great things, you must first see yourself as capable of them. Expectations are not merely hopes, they are demands. They do not wish for success, they require it. Those who expect greatness of themselves move differently. They do not allow themselves the comfort of excuses, the luxury of mediocrity, the poison of self-doubt. They hold themselves to a higher standard, knowing that the world will often try to pull them down, to convince them to settle, to whisper that good enough is enough. But the warrior mindset does not negotiate with limitation. It does not settle for a life defined by external expectations. Instead, it creates an internal expectation so powerful that it drowns out the noise of the world. It is not arrogance, it is conviction. It is not about believing you deserve greatness without effort. It is about knowing that with effort, greatness is inevitable. To expect great things of yourself is to take on a burden that many will not understand. It is to walk a path where the pressure to perform is not imposed by others but by your own standards. Those who move through life with low expectations avoid this pressure. They find solace in the comfort of aiming low and never being disappointed. But those who expect greatness embrace the pressure. They understand that it is not a weight that crushes, but a force that shapes. They do not fear the struggle, they demand it. They do not shrink under the spotlight, they thrive in it. They view every challenge as a chance to prove to themselves that their expectations are not fantasies, but glimpses of the future they are building with every action, every decision, every sacrifice. The difference between those who achieve and those who dream is not talent, but expectation. Many dream of greatness, but few expect it. Many wish for success, but few prepare for it. Those who expect greatness do not wait for life to hand them opportunities. They create opportunities through their preparation. They do not rely on luck, they rely on discipline. They do not hope for the best, they train for it. And because they expect more of themselves, they do more. They push further, they endure longer, they sacrifice more. They understand that life rarely gives you more than you demand of it. Those who ask for little receive little. Those who demand greatness, who expect nothing less than excellence, often find the world meeting them at the level of their own standards. Expectations are powerful because they influence every aspect of behavior. When you expect great things, your actions align with those expectations. You make choices that support your vision. You cultivate habits that reinforce your discipline. You surround yourself with influences that elevate your thinking. The mind is a fertile ground, and expectations are the seeds. Those who plant mediocrity harvest mediocrity. But those who plant greatness, who nurture their vision with relentless effort and unyielding belief, harvest a reality that others view with awe. The warrior understands that before any battle is fought in the world, it is first fought in the mind. The outcome of that internal battle often dictates the outcome of the external one. The danger lies not in expecting too much of yourself, but in expecting too little. The world is filled with those who fell short of their potential, not because they lacked ability, but because they lacked vision. They set their sights low, aiming only for what felt safe, what seemed possible within the narrow confines of their own fear. But those who expect greatness do not limit themselves to what feels comfortable. They push into the unknown. They chase what seems impossible. They aim for targets that require every ounce of their willpower. They know that even if they fall short of their highest expectations, they will still land far beyond those who never aimed high at all. They understand that greatness is not a destination, but a direction, a constant upward climb that demands resilience, perseverance, and the refusal to settle.